There comes a time when history is graced with a voice that does not merely speak, but awakens something deep within the hearts of those who listen. A voice that does not echo with mere words, but carries the weight of eternal purpose. In every generation, a light rises, not to be seen for its own sake, but to guide countless others towards something greater than themselves. Such voices are not born, they are shaped through trials, through faith, and through an unshakable conviction that their calling is not their own, but a divine assignment placed within them. There are lives that move beyond existence and step into destiny. These are not the ones who chase recognition, but the ones who carry a fire so consuming that the world cannot help but take notice. They do not stand in their own strength, nor do they speak for the applause of men. Instead, they walk in the power of a truth that is beyond them, driven by a force unseen yet undeniable. And when such a life emerges, it does not pass through history unnoticed. It leaves a mark so deep that generations to come will walk in its path. Today we reflect on such a life, not as a monument to man, but as a testament to the power of obedience, the power of surrender, and the impact of one who dares to say yes to a calling greater than himself. What does it take to move nations, to shift the hearts of millions, and to stand unwavering in a world constantly shifting? There is a secret hidden in the journey, concealed in the trials, and revealed in the impact left behind. And once it is uncovered, it has the power to awaken something in us all. There are voices that rise in a moment and fade with time. And then there are voices that transcend generations, carrying a message so powerful that it refuses to be confined by the limits of history. These voices do not emerge by chance, nor are they the result of mere human ambition. They are shaped by something greater, forged in the depths of conviction, and sent forth with an assignment that reaches beyond the boundaries of their own lifetime. Such a voice does not merely echo in the ears of those who hear it. It penetrates the depths of the soul, awakening something long dormant, something eternal. It does not entertain, nor does it seek approval. It carries a weight that cannot be ignored, a truth that demands a response. Some messages are momentary, designed to inspire for a season, but others are eternal, built on a foundation that cannot be shaken. They remain relevant long after their messenger is gone, not because of who delivered them, but because of the power behind them. When such a voice speaks, it does not come with mere eloquence or human wisdom, for those things are fleeting. It comes with authority, with clarity, with a presence that commands attention, not because of volume, but because of the undeniable force of truth. It reaches into places that no human effort could ever touch. It moves not just minds, but spirits. It does not depend on charisma or the strength of personality. It depends on something far deeper. There are those who may try to manufacture influence to build platforms through strategy and effort, but a voice that transcends generations is not built by human hands. It is given, it is entrusted, it is cultivated in places unseen long before the world ever hears it. And when the moment comes for it to be released, it carries a force that cannot be explained, only experienced. Generations pass, culture shift, and trends change, but when such a voice is released, it does not fade with time. It is as relevant decades later as it was the moment it was first spoken. It does not rely on technology, nor does it depend on the platforms of its day. It is not bound by the limitations of language or geography. It crosses borders without effort. It reaches people of every background, every status, every age, because it is not merely a human voice, it carries something divine. A man may speak, but what is released is beyond him. His words may be simple, but they contain something profound. He may stand alone, but he carries a presence that is undeniable. It is not the skill of speech that makes it powerful. It is the weight of the truth it carries. Such a voice does not belong to itself. It is not used for personal gain, nor does it seek to build an empire of its own making. It is surrendered. It is given back to the one who first gave it, and because it is not held with tight hands, it is used for a purpose greater than what any man could build for himself. The reach of such a voice is not measured by the size of crowds, nor is it determined by the applause of men. It is measured by the transformation it brings, by the hearts it awakens, by the lives it shifts. It is not content to be heard. It must bring change. It does not seek to impress. It seeks to impact. It does not settle for being remembered. It exists to point to something greater than itself. It is rare to witness such a voice in a generation, for it is not something that can be manufactured or duplicated. It is not found in ambition, nor is it created through effort alone. It is born out of surrender, cultivated through sacrifice, and refined through fire. It comes from a place of deep conviction, an unwavering commitment to truth, and a willingness to stand firm when everything around it wavers. It cannot be silenced by opposition, nor can it be diminished by criticism. It stands not because of the strength of the one who speaks, but because of the strength of the one who sent him. It is unwavering, not because it is immune to fear, but because it refuses to bow to it. It is relentless, not because it seeks to prove itself, but because it carries a fire that cannot be extinguished. This voice does not belong to an era. It belongs to eternity. It does not answer to the shifting opinions of man. It answers to a higher call. It is not intimidated by power, nor is it swayed by popularity. It stands unmoved, untouched by the passing of time, unshaken by the storms that come against it. It is a voice that speaks, and history is forced to listen. It is a voice that moves, and the world is never the same again. There are many who speak, but few who carry the weight of unshakable conviction. The world is filled with voices that change with the winds of popular opinion, shifting with the trends of the moment, adapting to whatever gains the most acceptance. But then there are voices that do not waver, voices that stand firm in the face of opposition, voices that refuse to be moved by pressure, criticism, or the fear of rejection. These voices are not shaped by public approval. They are forged in the fire of unwavering belief. They do not seek to please men, nor do they compromise for the sake of acceptance. They carry a truth that is not up for debate, a message that is not subject to revision, a conviction that does not weaken under scrutiny. The strength of such conviction is not found in arrogance or pride, but in a deep and immovable trust in the foundation upon which it stands. Conviction is not an emotion, nor is it a passing feeling of passion. It is not built on excitement, nor does it depend on circumstances. It is something deeper, something unshakable, something that remains even when everything else is stripped away. It does not rise and fall with moods, nor does it depend on external validation. It is steady, immovable, unyielding. It is not dependent on results, nor is it concerned with immediate outcome. It does not need to see the fulfillment of its purpose in order to remain steadfast. It does not require proof before it stands firm. It believes even when there is no visible evidence. It holds its ground even when surrounded by doubt. It does not flinch in the presence of resistance, nor does it shrink back in the face of difficulty. It is not threatened by opposition, nor is it intimidated by the size of the battle. Such conviction is not formed in comfort. It is not developed in places of ease. It is tested, refined, and strengthened through trials. It is built in moments of solitude where the voices of men fade and only one voice remains. It is forged in the silence of waiting, in the darkness of uncertainty, in the weight of responsibility that cannot be avoided. It is not the product of talent, nor is it a gift given at birth. It is cultivated in the secret place, in the moments when no one is watching, in the decisions made when no one is listening. It is born in the heart long before it is seen in public. It is tested in the quiet before it is revealed in the open. It is strengthened not by applause but by resistance. It does not need affirmation to survive. It does not require encouragement to continue. It stands because it knows the truth on which it rests. The strength of conviction is not in its volume, but in its depth. It does not need to shout to be heard, nor does it seek attention for its own sake. It does not draw its power from human confidence, but from a certainty that transcends human understanding. It does not look to men for approval, nor does it measure itself by human standards. It is not concerned with success as the world defines it, nor does it fear failure as the world perceives it. It does not change when faced with adversity, nor does it waver when confronted with doubt. It is steady, immovable, anchored in something greater than itself. It does not depend on feelings, for feelings are fleeting. It does not rely on circumstances, for circumstances are unpredictable. It is built on something that does not change, something that remains the same regardless of time, opinion, or challenge. There are many who begin with conviction, but few who endure in it. It is easy to stand firm when the road is smooth, when the support is strong, when the crowd is in agreement. But the true test of conviction is found in the moments of isolation, in the times when standing firm means standing alone, when holding fast means walking against the current. Conviction is not measured by how loudly it is declared, but by how consistently it is lived. It is proven in the face of loss, in the presence of rejection, in the reality of suffering. It does not break under pressure, nor does it dissolve in hardship. It deepens in the struggle, strengthens in the fire, becomes more resolute in the battle. It does not look for an escape when the cost is high. It remains unmoved. It does not reconsider when the journey becomes difficult. It presses forward. It does not seek an easier path. It stays the course, no matter how steep the climb. A man of conviction is not swayed by the noise of the world. He does not seek the approval of the masses, nor does he compromise to fit the expectations of others. He does not speak to gain favor, nor does he adjust his message to avoid offense. He stands in truth regardless of the consequences. He does not fear rejection, for his confidence is not in man. He does not fear failure, for his purpose is not defined by temporary outcome. He does not seek comfort, for he knows that true impact comes at a cost. He does not hesitate, for hesitation is the enemy of conviction. He does not retreat, for retreat is the surrender of purpose. He does not waver, for wavering is the death of influence. He stands not because he is strong, but because he knows the foundation on which he stands cannot be shaken. He speaks not because he seeks attention, but because the truth within him cannot be silenced. He moves forward not because the path is easy, but because the mission is greater than the obstacles ahead. True influence is not found in power, nor is it measured by status. It is not a product of talent, nor is it gained through effort alone. There are many who seek influence, many who chase recognition, many who desire to lead, but few who understand that the greatest influence is not in being exalted, but in being surrendered. The world measures greatness by position, by visibility, by the applause of men, but true impact is not found in these things. It is found in the quiet strength of humility, in the willingness to serve rather than to be served, in the understanding that true leadership is not about control, but about surrender. Influence that lasts is never rooted in pride, for pride demands recognition, but humility carries a strength that does not need to be seen to be felt. It moves not with force, but with conviction. It does not seek attention, yet it cannot be ignored. It does not insist on being first, yet it always leaves a mark that time cannot erase. Humility is not weakness, nor is it passivity. It is the ability to stand firm without demanding to be noticed. It is the ability to carry great authority without the need for personal glory. It is the strength to serve without the desire for recognition. There are many who lead with power, but few who lead with humility. There are many who demand respect, but few who command it through the quiet force of character. The world celebrates confidence that exalts itself, but the greatest influence is carried by those who do not seek their own name to be lifted high. They walk in quiet authority, in unwavering purpose, in a strength that is not drawn from titles or accolades. They understand that true impact is not about how much one is seen, but about how deeply one's presence is felt. The most powerful lives are those that are not concerned with personal greatness. They are not seeking to be remembered, nor are they striving for significance in the eyes of men. They are consumed with something greater than themselves, something that does not require their name to be attached to it. They do not chase platforms, yet they are placed upon them. They do not seek honor, yet it follows them. They do not demand loyalty, yet they inspire it. Their lives are not built on the foundation of personal ambition, but on the understanding that the greatest leaders are the greatest servants. The weight of their influence is not in their ability to command, but in their willingness to submit. It is not in how much authority they wield, but in how freely they surrender their own desires for the sake of a greater purpose. The world does not always recognize this kind of leadership. It does not always understand the power of humility, for it equates success with visibility and authority with dominance. But history tells a different story. The lives that have shaped generations were not always the ones who sought to be at the forefront. They were the ones who walked with quiet resolve, with an unshakable commitment to something beyond themselves. They were not looking for influence, but they carried it because of who they were. Their strength was not in their own ability, but in their refusal to be distracted by their own significance. They did not build for themselves, they built for others. They did not seek a legacy, they left one by the very nature of how they lived. True humility does not mean silence, nor does it mean shrinking back from responsibility. It does not mean withholding one's voice out of fear, nor does it mean allowing others to dictate one's purpose. It means knowing that the calling is greater than the person carrying it. It means understanding that the mission is more important than the recognition. It means walking forward with confidence, not in oneself, but in the one who has given the assignment. It means speaking boldly, not for personal gain, but because the truth must be heard. It means leading, not for the sake of position, but because the weight of responsibility cannot be ignored. It means being willing to stand at the front when necessary, but never seeking the spotlight for its own sake. It means being willing to step back when the moment calls for it, knowing that true leadership is not about always being seen, but about always being faithful. The greatest leaders are those who do not need to be followed to know they have fulfilled their purpose. They do not measure success by numbers, nor do they gauge impact by external validation. They do not seek to control, but they cannot help but inspire. They do not seek power, but they cannot help but carry authority. Their words are not crafted for popularity, but they resonate with those who hear them. Their actions are not performed for recognition, but they transform the lives they touch. Their presence does not demand attention, but it shifts the very atmosphere they walk into. They are not driven by the need to prove themselves, for they are secure in the knowledge that true influence is not found in personal greatness, but in unwavering obedience to a higher purpose. There are many who desire to be known, but few who desire to be used. There are many who chase positions of honor, but few who embrace the responsibility of servanthood. There are many who long for greatness, but few who understand that true greatness is not in being exalted, but in being willing to bow low. It is not in standing above others, but in standing beside them. It is not in building one's own kingdom, but in building something that will outlast oneself. It is not in chasing recognition, but in embracing purpose. The greatest legacy is not left by those who seek to be remembered, but by those who seek to fulfill their mission, knowing that their impact is not in how many people know their name, but in how many lives are changed because they chose to walk in humility. There is a difference between a life that is lived and a life that is driven. Many pass through the years without ever being consumed by a cause greater than themselves. They exist, they work, they build, but they are not ignited by a fire that pushes them beyond the limits of human ambition. Then there are those whose lives are not their own, whose days are marked by a relentless pursuit of something far beyond personal success. They do not wake up wondering what they will do. They wake up knowing they must move forward, not because they are searching for meaning, but because they have already found it. They do not hesitate, nor do they drift aimlessly. They burn with an urgency that cannot be explained, an unshakable commitment to a mission that does not allow them to rest in complacency. The world is full of those who dream of doing something significant, but few are willing to be consumed by the cost of a relentless mission. When a life is driven by purpose, there is no room for distraction. The noise of the world may grow loud, the voices of opposition may rise, but nothing can silence a heart that has been set on fire with an unshakable calling. It does not waver when the road is hard, nor does it reconsider when the obstacles increase. It does not depend on comfort, nor does it require applause. It moves forward when no one is watching. It presses on when no one understands. It does not wait for perfect conditions, nor does it retreat when the weight of responsibility becomes heavy. There is a force behind it that cannot be ignored, a fire that does not burn out with time. It is not fueled by emotion, for emotions fade. It is not driven by recognition, for recognition is fleeting. It is not motivated by success, for success is temporary. It is compelled by something deeper, something that does not depend on external validation, something that carries a weight that cannot be set aside. A relentless mission does not need permission to continue. It does not wait for approval, nor does it slow down when misunderstood. It does not negotiate with obstacles, nor does it compromise when resistance comes. It is not concerned with how many stand with it, nor does it stop to count the cost. It is not a pursuit of personal gain, but a surrender to something greater than self. It demands everything, yet those who carry it would not have it any other way. It is not a burden to them, though it weighs heavily. It is not a choice they make every day, for it has already chosen them. They are not in control of it. It has taken hold of them. They do not seek an escape, for they know that to live outside of this mission would be to exist without meaning. They do not look for an alternative path, for they understand that nothing else would ever satisfy the fire within them. There is a cost to living with such purpose. It requires endurance when others give up. It demands sacrifice when others settle. It calls for focus when distractions arise. It does not make room for comfort, nor does it offer the luxury of an easy road. But those who carry this mission do not see it as a burden, for they understand that the weight they bear is nothing compared to the glory of fulfilling what they have been called to do. They do not complain about the price, for they know that nothing else would be worth living for. They do not ask how long the journey will take, for they have already surrendered their lives to the path before them. They do not seek shortcuts, for they know that true impact is never found in the pursuit of ease. The world does not always understand those who burn with such purpose. They are called extreme, radical, unyielding, but history is not changed by those who live in moderation. Generations are not transformed by those who seek balance over obedience. The greatest movements have never been led by those who were merely interested. They have been carried by those who were consumed. Their mission did not fit neatly into their lives. It became their lives. They did not seek security, nor did they hesitate when the path became uncertain. They did not wait for validation, nor did they require reassurance. They moved forward not because the way was clear, but because the calling was undeniable. They endured criticism, misunderstanding, loneliness, and loss, yet they did not stop. They pressed on, not because they were strong, but because they knew they were chosen. A relentless mission does not ask how much more must be given. It gives until there is nothing left. It does not ask how long the journey will take. It walks until the finish line is reached. It does not fear exhaustion, for it knows that the fire within is stronger than the trials without. It does not seek reward, for it understands that the true fulfillment is in the mission itself. It does not retreat when the battle intensifies, for it was never in this for comfort. It does not slow down when others lose faith, for it was never fueled by the approval of man. It keeps moving, keeps pressing, keeps believing, keeps standing, because there is no other option. It is not something that can be abandoned, for it is not something that was chosen. It is something that was given, and once it has been received, there is no turning back. There is a weight that comes with carrying something greater than oneself. It is not a burden of regret, nor is it a weight of fear, but it is the responsibility of knowing that what has been placed within cannot be ignored. It is the understanding that the mission given is not optional, that the calling assigned is not something to be postponed or reconsidered. It is the realization that to delay is to deny, that to hesitate is to disobey. There are many who hear the call, but not all respond. There are many who recognize the assignment, but not all are willing to pay the price of obedience. The difference is not in who is chosen, but in who is willing to surrender completely. Some begin but turn back when the cost becomes clear. Some move forward for a season, but stop when the path becomes difficult. But those who understand the weight of what they carry know that there is no turning back, no stopping, no negotiation. It is not about personal preference or convenience. It is about the reality that what has been entrusted must be fulfilled, no matter what it requires. A life lived with this awareness is not an ordinary life. It cannot be. It is marked by an urgency that does not allow for complacency. It is shaped by a determination that does not bend to distraction. It is refined by trials that separate the committed from the comfortable. This kind of life is not given to those who seek an easy road. It is not assigned to those who wish to remain untouched by hardship. It is reserved for those who are willing to walk where others will not, to endure what others avoid, to remain steadfast when others give up. It is not a life of aimless pursuit, but of focused obedience. It does not waver based on circumstances, nor does it wait for ideal conditions. It does not measure success by human standards, nor does it seek approval from the shifting opinions of the world. It is driven by something deeper, something that does not change, something that remains even when everything else is shaken. Those who carry this kind of weight do not seek escape from it. They do not resent it, nor do they wish it away. They embrace it not because it is easy, but because they know it is necessary. They do not complain about the sacrifice, for they understand that to carry something of eternal value means releasing the temporary comforts of the present. They do not question why the path is difficult, for they recognize that the weight they carry is not meant to be light. They do not seek shortcuts, for they know that true fulfillment is found only in walking the full journey. They do not ask how much longer they must endure, for they have already settled within themselves that they will endure for as long as it takes. They are not in this for moments of success, but for the fulfillment of an assignment that is greater than any temporary achievement. This kind of commitment is rare, not because it is unattainable, but because few are willing to embrace the cost. It is not that the calling is given to only a select few. It is that only a few are willing to surrender to it completely. Many desire to do great things, but few are willing to pay the price of true obedience. Many wish to be used, but few are willing to be emptied of themselves in the process. Many want to see results, but few are willing to walk through the seasons of hidden preparation. The weight of purpose is not given to the most talented, nor is it assigned to the most qualified. It is entrusted to those who are willing to lay everything else aside, to walk forward without reservation, to remain faithful even when the path is uncertain. It is given to those who understand that the mission is not about them, that the work they are called to do is not for their own elevation, that the reward is not found in human recognition, but in the fulfillment of what they were created to accomplish. There is a strength that comes with embracing this weight. It is not the strength of human will, nor is it the result of personal determination. It is a strength that is given to those who refuse to let go of the calling placed upon them. It is the strength to stand when others fall. It is the strength to press forward when everything says to turn back. It is the strength to believe when nothing makes sense. It is the strength to keep building, keep speaking, keep moving, keep trusting, even when the outcome is not yet visible. It is not a strength that comes from within, but a strength that is given to those who refuse to quit. It is not dependent on circumstances, nor does it diminish with time. It only grows stronger with every challenge, every opposition, every season of waiting. Those who carry this weight do not walk alone. They do not depend on their own ability, nor do they rely on their own wisdom. They know that what has been placed within them is greater than themselves. They do not fear the future, nor do they dread the unknown. They move forward, not because they have all the answers, but because they know they have been sent. They do not hesitate, for they understand that hesitation is the enemy of purpose. They do not retreat, for they know that retreat is the death of destiny. They do not seek ease, for they recognize that the greatest impact is always preceded by the greatest sacrifice. They walk with confidence, not in their own strength, but in the assurance that what they carry is not a burden to be avoided, but a purpose to be fulfilled. There is a fire that cannot be extinguished, a passion that cannot be silenced, a conviction that cannot be shaken. It is not the product of human ambition, nor is it the result of mere desire. It is something deeper, something unmovable, something that does not waver with time or change with circumstances. It is not controlled by emotions, nor is it fueled by external validation. It does not depend on how many approve, how many support, how many stand in agreement. It burns with the same intensity in seasons of victory and in moments of struggle. It does not diminish when faced with opposition, nor does it fade when the journey becomes difficult. It is not driven by the need for recognition, nor does it require the assurance of success before moving forward. It does not slow down when misunderstood, nor does it seek an escape when the weight of responsibility grows heavy. It is relentless, unyielding, unstoppable. This fire does not come from within oneself. It is not the product of personal strength or natural determination. It is something that has been placed within, something that cannot be removed or ignored. It is a calling, a burden, a purpose that demands everything. It does not negotiate, nor does it compromise. It does not adjust itself to fit into human plans, nor does it wait for the perfect moment to be fully embraced. It requires complete surrender, absolute commitment, unwavering faith. Those who carry it do not have the luxury of hesitation, for they know that to delay is to deny the very reason they exist. They cannot turn back, for they understand that to walk away would be to abandon everything that gives meaning to their lives. They do not wait for ideal conditions, for they know that obedience is never about convenience. They move forward not because the way is easy, but because they have no other choice. A fire like this changes everything. It transforms the way one thinks, the way one speaks, the way one moves through life. It does not allow for distractions, nor does it tolerate compromise. It demands focus, perseverance, endurance. It separates the committed from the comfortable, the willing from the wavering. It is not given to those who seek an easy path, nor is it entrusted to those who desire personal gain. It is placed in those who are willing to carry it with honor, in those who are willing to sacrifice everything else for the sake of the mission. It does not fade with time, nor does it weaken under pressure. It only grows stronger with every trial, every challenge, every moment of resistance. The world does not understand this kind of fire. It does not recognize the force that drives those who carry it. It calls them extreme, unreasonable, too focused, too intense. It does not see the depth of their conviction, nor does it comprehend the weight of their calling. It questions their commitment, challenges their beliefs, seeks to discourage their resolve. But those who are truly consumed by this fire cannot be swayed by the opinions of others. They do not seek approval, nor do they require acceptance. They do not need the affirmation of men, for they know that what they carry is greater than human understanding. They do not chase applause, for they are not in this for recognition. They do not seek positions, for their mission is not dependent on titles. They walk with confidence, not in themselves, but in the purpose that has been placed upon them. There is no room for fear in a life consumed by this fire. Fear has no power over those who have surrendered completely. They do not hesitate when the road ahead is uncertain, nor do they retreat when the battle becomes fierce. They do not allow doubt to take root, nor do they entertain thoughts of failure. They understand that their responsibility is not to control the outcome, but to remain faithful to the assignment. They do not measure success by what is seen, for they know that the greatest impact is often invisible in the moment. They do not strive for comfort, for they recognize that purpose is never found in places of ease. They do not seek shortcuts, for they understand that true transformation is always the result of endurance. They do not waver in the face of adversity, for they know that opposition is only confirmation that they are on the right path. The fire within them does not allow for complacency. It does not permit settling, nor does it accept stagnation. It pushes them forward when others would stop. It compels them to act when others would wait. It keeps them awake when others sleep, keeps them moving when others sit still, keeps them believing when others give up. It is not concerned with temporary setbacks, nor is it discouraged by moments of weakness. It is not shaken by rejection, nor is it intimidated by obstacles. It burns just as strongly in moments of loneliness as it does in times of great victory. It does not require constant encouragement, nor does it need to be reignited by external sources. It is a fire that is sustained from within, a fire that does not depend on circumstances to remain alive. Those who carry this fire do not question whether they have what it takes. They do not wonder if they are strong enough, capable enough, prepared enough. They do not wait for the perfect moment, nor do they look for signs before taking the next step. They move with urgency, with boldness, with confidence that is not rooted in themselves, but in the one who has called them. They do not walk with uncertainty, for they know that the fire within them is not there by accident. They do not seek validation, for they understand that their purpose is not determined by the opinions of men. They do not shrink back, for they know that what they carry is not for their own benefit, but for the fulfillment of something greater than themselves. They do not wonder if they will make a difference, for they already know that the fire within them is not meant to remain contained. It is meant to spread, to ignite, to transform. It is meant to set everything around them ablaze.